Kathleen with Kathleen's Trodden Trail, coming to you on Monday, September the 5th. Hopefully today's video will be halfway decent. I think that Pam with Stitching Between the Lines has come up with a way to maybe be able to make videos longer than 15 minutes. So we shall see. We're going to give it a shot today and try it out. If not, I will probably have to just chop this video up into multiple videos and post those, but we'll come to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Hopefully today's video will be a lot better than the last one. I probably should never have posted that last video. I was extremely tired from a long trip, driving 1,200 miles to Virginia to take Ryan to school, and quite emotional. I think both as a result of being really, really tired and also just from, you know, dropping him off at school for his freshman year of college. But feeling much more rested today, especially after the long weekend, have gotten quite a bit accomplished, and so hopefully today's video will be minus any teary eyes or crying. Let's see, I don't know where to start. I think what I'm going to start with is just to talk a little bit about, so it is September 5th, but yes, I do indeed have all of my Halloween decorations up. I roped my family into, or what's left of the people at home, my husband and my youngest daughter, I roped them into helping me put up Halloween decorations on Saturday. And I love Halloween. I'm not, well, I love it for a variety of reasons. I probably have almost as many Halloween decorations as Christmas. Obviously, I don't have a ton of trees. I think we put up 7 Christmas trees. But I do have a lot of Halloween decorations, and it took us the better part of the day on Saturday to get everything put up and kind of fluffed, and you know, some things have a spot that they go in every year, and some things I move around. In some areas, some little vignettes I redo and do them differently from year to year. A lot of times I'll take pictures if I really like the way something looks, but then come the following year, I just always feel differently about it, and so I'll put things up in a little bit different spot. Behind me, you can see this is a rug that I did. This is probably right up there with one of my favorite rugs, and I actually believe that I now officially have more Halloween rugs than any other season. So I have quite a few Christmas rugs, but I think I have more Halloween rugs, and this is one of them. This is one of the last ones I did, and your eyes aren't deceiving you. It is hanging crooked. I had Maddie help me hang it, where I went, okay, is this straight? Is this straight? Stand back and see, tell me if this is straight. And she said, yeah, that's straight. She was kind of done. This was one of the last things we did on Saturday. And I got down off the ladder and I said, Maddie, that is not straight. And she kind of shrugged her shoulders and walked off. And so I'll have to straighten this. But anyway, this is another Spruce Ridge Studios rug, drawn by Chris Miller, based on a painting, I believe, by Lori Brecklin or Brechlin. I'm not exactly sure how you say her last name. A lot of Chris's rugs are done, or designs are based on Lori's paintings. And I did the rug, as I often do with these patterns, to mirror the painting. I wanted it to look very similar to the painting. I knew that this would look good. We have this is kind of what is considered our front room in our house. So it's the room that we never use, but the front room of the house, and it's painted kind of a mustard gold yellow. And when my husband found the house and saw it before I did, and he said, you'll love the house, but the first thing you're going to want to do is paint that front room. It's horrible. And I saw the front room and said, I love it. And so we've left the paint, and it really does need to be painted now. But at any rate, I knew that gold at the top and the little curtain that's as you can see, it's kind of a curtain that's hanging there. I knew that would match really well in this room, and knew that I would probably put this rug above the piano. Here, in the carpet, in the penny rug that her feet are on, the circles are not hooked. The circles are strips, 1/4-inch strips of wool rolled and then stitched onto the linen background. So that was a really neat and different technique that Chris Miller taught. I did this in a class with Chris Miller. She has a great eye for color. And so anyway, it was a lot of fun. The witch is as ugly as she can be. I like the pottery and the little on the shelf behind her, the spinning wheel. It's a neat rug. So anyway, that's one of my fun ones for Halloween. Over here I have some wooden pumpkins. I think those are some of our latest Halloween decorations. Maddie and I bought those last year at a craft fair, and a gentleman was making those, and they're just made out of blocks of wood, and he doesn't really even round off the edges. I don't know. I thought they were really neat. And then in a non-cross stitchy but still stitchy not venue, that's not the word, I don't know, craft, I guess, I don't know what the word is. Last year I made a whole series of these little spooky cats, Halloween cats. I made them for several friends. I think I made 5 of them, and then I had several more people asking me to make them one, and I just, I got tired of it after a while. It just gets, you just get bored doing the same thing over and over. This was the original one, and this was the original pattern with the little haunted house. I did different patterns in all the other cats. I did, a tree with pumpkins, and, I'm trying to think. I can't even remember, but they all turned out cute, and they were fun to do at the time, and then I was just kind of tired of doing them. And anyway, that's one of my decorations. I have it over here leaning up against the stained glass lamp that I have. So let's see. I guess along those lines, I'll show you. I brought over with me a couple of not old, but previous year's stitcheries that I did. Many of you have seen Boo, the Brenda Gervais Boo stitchery. This is probably one of my all-time favorites. I love her patterns, especially the ones in this vein. I think she has, and I have it, I've never done it, she has one that says Nest. Somebody else just finished that. I can't remember who it was, but one that says Nest on it with some birds and a little bird's nest. And then I have the Noel one that says Noel, and I can't remember, and I just have barely started it. Started it last year before Christmas and then put it away. This is fun. I put these are not individual buttons. Buttons are on a piece of tape, fabric tape, and then I just stitched that to the pillow. Again, this was done back in the day before I had watched Rana's video, finishing video. And it's poorly stuffed, but maybe one of these days I will get it together enough to restuff it. But I love that. I think that's such a sweet little design. That little mouse. I love mice. I've said that before. I don't like them in my house, but I love them on things. And then I finished the back with some batik fabric that matched kind of the greeny goldy color of the Boo, and yeah, I thought that turned out well. And then I did another one. This one comes from the Lizzie Kate Halloween Mystery Sampler from 2016, I think it is, which I am almost finished with, but not quite. But I did do all the little extras. I think that mystery cell came in 3 parts, and each part had an additional small pattern with it. And this came with this. Now I have this up on a cabinet where one of our cats has a tendency to lay and kind of lord over all of us. And he likes to go up there and knock things down that I put up there. So I always try to put something up there that's not breakable. And I had this up there with some other Halloween things, and he knocked it down yesterday, and one of the dogs got to it. So it's a little bit chewed, you can see here. Luckily I caught it in time. But look at that. I like that. And then this fun, well, a piece of wool. So this is wool from the rug store. Oh, see, he made a hole in the back. You can see the batting coming through, the stuffing coming through. Darn it. But neat ribbon, Halloween ribbon, velvet black. Again, back in the day before I really knew what I was doing with finishing. But that, wow, that's sweet. I was telling Pam at Stitching Between the Lines that probably 3/4 of the reason that I wanted to decorate for Halloween on September the, whatever Saturday was, the 2nd, was to see my stitching. Because I tend to pack away my holiday stitching with the other holiday decorations. And I always forget from year to year what I've done and what's finished. And so that was kind of fun. I did a ton of stitching this weekend. We put up Halloween decorations on Saturday, and then Maddie and I went dress shopping for her for a homecoming dress and some outfits to wear for senior pictures. We paid for a professional to do Caitlin's senior pictures. Well, she graduated, 7, 8 years ago. And then since then, I've gotten a really good camera, and I took Ryan's senior pictures, and they turned out great. Now, he wasn't nearly as picky probably as my girls are, but they turned out well. We had a friend edit them, and they turned out great. He wore one outfit. He didn't want to do a bunch of changing, and yeah, they turned out really well, and we used them, and we were very pleased with them. And Maddie decided she wants me to take hers, but of course she wants lots of different outfits. And Caitlin actually came up with the idea that we should take some this weekend. This weekend, Maddie and I will be in Colorado for a wedding shower for Caitlin. And so the shower is at 10:30 on Saturday morning, and I think we're going to go ahead and take some senior pictures then on Saturday afternoon. Caitlin lives in Colorado Springs, and which, if you're familiar with the area, I know Jules, Stitching Jules lives, I think, fairly close to where my daughter lives. It's just beautiful there, of course. I mean, I'm from there, born and raised outside of Denver, but and I love Nebraska now. I didn't initially when we first moved here, but it's just a very different, Colorado has a very different feel than Nebraska does. And especially Colorado Springs is just kind of right in the foothills, which are just gorgeous and beautiful, and you don't have to go far to kind of feel like you're in the mountains. Sorry, the dogs are in here being anxious. I may have to pause and let them out. So Caitlin came up with the idea that maybe it'd be fun to take some of Maddie's senior pictures while we're there and kind of use some of those lovely mountainy backdrops to do that. So we got her some things for senior pictures, and we got her, I think, hopefully a homecoming dress, which will also double as an outfit for senior pictures. And then I looked for mother of the bride dresses to wear to the wedding, and y'all, I am not a shopper. I love clothes, but I'd kind of like to just have somebody bring the right clothes and the right fit to my front door. I really love shoes, and I can shop for shoes all day long, but I'm not a big fan of shopping. And, of course, I weigh a lot more than I should weigh, and it's so discouraging to try to find something pretty and nice and, that doesn't make me look like a grandmother of the bride, but also, I don't know, it's hard. So I did find a couple of dresses, but one is navy blue and one is black. And the more I thought about it, I don't want to wear black to her wedding. I don't. Caitlin's to-be mother-in-law is wearing pink. And so I was sort of thinking slate gray or something along those lines. Anyway, that's what we did Saturday afternoon. And then we had my in-laws over to watch the first Nebraska game of the year and had dinner for them. And then I was able to stitch a little bit once we got dinner finished up and all of that good stuff. And then I stitched literally, we did not go to church on Sunday. I stitched all day Sunday. And I stitched a good portion of the day yesterday. So I got quite a bit done, and I was very pleased with it. So that being said, what did I work on? Well, I worked on, of course, we decorated for Halloween, so I'm in the Halloween mood. And I have lots of Halloween projects, and I have several that are started, but I wanted to work on Plum Street Sampler's Jax Bash, which looks like this. I think that is one of the cutest. It's not cute. I don't know. Pretty, classic. I don't know what it is. It's neat. Now, the couple things. I love Plum Street Sampler. Probably, it may be the number one. Sorry. Hold on. Let the dogs out to try to compose themselves. Plum Street Sampler. I may have more Plum Street Sampler charts than any other designer, but I absolutely love it. I love, and she's here. Paulette is here, and she has started doing Floss Tube videos, which is so cool. I don't know how she has time to do everything she does, but anyway, but I have to say, this is driving me crazy. So this is the top. This is the top. The pattern is not only sideways on here, but it's crooked sideways. And I don't know why. You know how as you're stitching along, you want to see the colored, or at least I do, I want to see the colored version. And it's just driving me crazy that it's like almost upside down. I don't know why that should matter, but it does. But it nonetheless, it's an awesome pattern. It has a funny little saying on it. It says, I think it says, here in the ruffed and autumn bower, B-O-W-E-R, bower, the knobby gourd and bitter flower, we merry make and sing hooray to our friend Jack on his birthday. And then at the top it says Happy Halloween, where these buildings are. Of course, it has the alphabet, and then I was thinking somewhere on here it said Wrought by, but no, there's a Christmas one that I'm also working on that has the little Wrought by, and I just this little lady with her black umbrella, I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so anyway, here is this is stitched 1/1 on a piece of 35 count, I believe that's right, 35 count linen from Reflections that Julie helped me pick out. It's lovely to work with. It's lovely to stitch on. I like the 1/1. It's, fairly easy. And I don't know if how good the light's going to be in here, but so here's my start, the little sawtooth border at the top, which is really simple to do. And then I did the house, and hallelujah, I don't have any mistakes, at least none that I saw in the house. And then this little lady with her dress, her little black dress. So the way this is charted is it has, it's black, and it has these little, they're kind of crosses, little flowers in it, I guess, but it's, the four little orange pieces, and then you're supposed to put the white in the center. And it's charted just to do it as a cross stitch, but I did them as French knots. Unlike so many people, I love French knots. I don't have a problem with French knots. I learned to do French knots when I was young, and so I love French knots, and yeah, so I did those as French knots. And then I was super proud of myself. This little cake that she's holding is stitched 1/1, and it's not perfect. I think there's a little mistake in it, but I like the way it turned out. It kind of looks like she's holding a little cake with a cherry on top, in honor of Jack's birthday and all. So I thought that was, I'm using the called for Gentle Arts threads, which all have such great modeling in them. And anyway, I'm super pleased with that. I'm hoping to work some more on that today. Then I was working, and I showed you several weeks ago. Let me find the pattern. I was working, Vonna had done this. This is Little House Needleworks Hometown Holiday, the Tree Lot. So I believe that this is a whole series that can be stitched together or separately. And, but Vonna happened to do the Tree Lot as an ornament for one of her sons, I believe. And it looks like this. And she did a really neat thing where instead of stitching the tree, she put a tree here. Like she stitched all of these trees, but in the truck she actually put one of the little, you know, the little trees that you can get with the villages, and she stitched it to it. So I loved that. I thought that was so neat. I wanted to do this pattern and put a little tree there, but I think Vonna only did a partial. I think she may have only done the truck and 3 of the trees or something. I did the whole thing. As I was doing, I was going to make this for our family. I do an ornament for myself every year, or for our tree every year, and I was going to do this for our family. And as I was doing it, it reminded me so much of my father-in-law, who has a lot of paintings and pictures of little red trucks in his house, in their apartment. So as I was stitching this up, I thought, oh, I think I'm going to just give this to my father-in-law for Christmas. I'll finish it as an ornament. And then I decided, yeah, I'll do that, but I want to stitch it again. So I actually finished one version and started the second. Okay, so here's my finish. Everything about this, I got the pattern from 123 Stitch. When I ordered it, I ordered the pattern and all the floss that it called for and the fabric that it called for. So the fabric it's an even weave. I don't remember. It's like off-white, ivory, even weave something. But it was whatever, you know how at 123 Stitch you can select all, it'll pull up the fabric and the pattern and all the flosses, and you can click select all, and they'll send you, you can buy the whole kit and caboodle, and that's what I did for this. Well, I started stitching it, and I double checked, and all of the flosses are the flosses. But you guys, look at, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, look at the color of that truck. Okay, it's kind of a bright red. It's kind of a Christmassy, not super bright, but kind of a bright red truck. Look at the color of this truck. It is not bright red at all. And it's actually kind of a pinky red, and it's very washed out, very, very faded out. The house, which is, I don't know, now I'm forgetting all the colors. I almost think the house was supposed to be like in walnut or something. Well, and look at the door on the house. That's supposed to be the same red as the truck. That door doesn't even look red. It's so bizarre. I don't know. And then the white, I think it called for regular DMC white. You can barely see it. I mean, you can kind of see it, but it's snow. It's there, but it's not. So the whole time I was stitching it, I was wanting to change the colors. And I thought, well, I'm just going to finish this. It was going really fast. I'm just going to finish this as is. I think I'll give this version to my father-in-law. I mean, I like it. I like it. It's just not quite, it's not quite the picture. So I tea-dyed some, I had quite a bit of this left over. Like I had a whole bottom section, an equal amount left over. So I cut that out and I tea-dyed that. Like before I was even quite finished stitching this yesterday, I tea-dyed it, and it came out this color. And then I went through my old flosses, and I started with, and I believe this is garnet maybe. Now, it's not bright red either, and I knew it was kind of a dark. It's kind of a dark. It's not showing up. It looks better than it looks here. It's a little more red in person than it is here. But at any rate, I'm going to restitch it again. I pulled everything different. I pulled different greens, different reds, just the whole thing, and I'm going to restitch it. And I don't know. I think I'll keep this version and I'll give away the original version. Oh, I also wanted to show you, big mistake in the house. Big mistake. So see if you can catch it. I'm leaving it. I'm not going to fix it, but can you see the mistake? Can you see between the two windows and the door? On the one side, There are 2 rows in between the door and the windows, and on the other side there are 3. On one side of the house there are 2 rows to finish off the house, and on the other side there's only 1 row. I messed it up. Anyway, I also messed up the snow at the top. The snow at the top wasn't supposed to be even. The snow on the roof was supposed to be a little bit uneven, and I stitched it. You know, I tend to be watching stuff like Floss Tube. I spent a lot of time this weekend watching Priscilla and Chelsea. If you guys haven't watched them, they're funny. They're a mother-daughter team. And the whole weekend I kept telling Maddie, you have to learn to stitch. We have to do Floss Tube videos together. That would be so much fun. And she's like, not on your life. She has no desire to do anything. I think I've mentioned in the past that, wow, I just really got off on a tangent. Oh, well. I can fast forward. I homeschooled Ryan and Maddie, my 2 youngest, for a year before we found the private school that Ryan graduated from and Maddie will graduate from this year. And in that year, every month we did a different needle art. So they learned to knit, crochet, cross stitch, embroidery, do needlepoint, so like petite point, needlepoint, and rug hook. I think that was everything they learned how to do. And we did 1 a month, and then a couple of the months we repeated if they had big projects that they were working on. So she has learned how to do this. She didn't take to it. And I wasn't all that into it when I was younger either, because my mother forced me to do it. So I was kind of like, I had to do it. But I think that would be so much fun to, just have, I don't know. Anyway, Priscilla and Chelsea, you have to watch them. So anyway, I'm watching away and not paying attention, and I kind of have this tendency to think, and Ingeborg made this comment the other day. It's so funny how people make comments and you think, God, that's exactly how I feel. You look at the pattern and you think, oh, I know what I'm doing, and you just you go along and you don't really look at the pattern, and then you make a mistake. Or that's what I do. We were also watching, we like Masterpiece Mysteries, Masterpiece Theater on PBS, and we like Endeavor, and so we were watching several Endeavors, and I was getting into it and not paying good enough attention. But anyway, I'm happy. I'm pleased with that. My stitching is never perfect. I'm never that, it is what it is. Okay, so then I have a needle here, just a random needle attached to something. I don't know what. Stick it up here. I have an FFO, and I don't think that Caitlin, my oldest, watches my Floss Tube videos, but Caitlin, if you are watching, you must turn off right now. And hold on 1 second, I'm going to get that off. I'm going to show you this FFO, but then I realized I have one more whip to show you. So Caitlin, if you are watching, turn it off. So this weekend, I mentioned, is the wedding shower for Caitlin, and while Maddie and I were there, we went to Colorado Springs in July to help Caitlin find a wedding dress. And in fact, we did find a wedding dress while we were there. And I went to 123 Stitch and pulled up wedding samplers and had Caitlin and Caleb pick a wedding sampler that they would want me to stitch for them. And I had said, it can be big, that's fine. Just know that if it's really big, it probably won't be done by the wedding. It might be a while, but that's okay. This is something you're going to have forever. And well, they didn't like any of the big ones with, like any of the really cool wedding samplers, or, even like house, just not, they just weren't, they're not into that. So the one they picked was actually very, very small, and just really didn't have much to it. And so I finished it. I did not enjoy this. I don't know why. I love doing words, and it's pretty much only words. I really didn't enjoy the colors. Caitlin wanted pretty much the exact colors that she saw in the chart, and I don't know, but it's finished. I guess, and then I FFO'd it, and I really had a hard time. I wanted to find some kind of a tray or a plaque or a frame or something old to put it in, and I just couldn't. I couldn't find the right thing. So I ended up going to, where did I go? Joann's. I went to Joann. It was the saddest story. I went to Joann's because I kept getting texts about their weekend Labor Day sales. And so I went, and before I left, Brian even said, do you have a coupon? Because there have been all kinds of coupons out. Oh, yeah, I have them on my phone. Yep. And then I was talking on the phone on the way to Joann's. I don't know to who. And forgot to take my phone in. So I get in line, and it was packed. Just packed. And I had a few other things to buy. And so, anyway, didn't get to use my 60% off coupon or my 20% off my entire order or whatever it was. But nonetheless, here is the wedding sampler. I want to give this to Caitlin this weekend. So it's just, love believes, bears, hopes, endures, love never ends, from Corinthians. And it has their initials down here at the bottom, the year of the wedding, which is 2017. And then these are just actually really, really cheap wooden frames that I painted. This just goes on. I mounted in the Priscilla and Chelsea way. I mounted this on sticky board. Put this, put that on this frame, put this frame on top, and then did this bow. I bought like 3 or 4 different kinds of ribbon to see what would, of course I forgot to take this with me, so I didn't know what was matching and what wasn't. Anyway, that's how it turned out. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I have to admit, I just don't love it. It seems really dated to me, and it seems really 80-ish, but it's what she picked out, and I don't know. It's fine. It's okay. I don't know. She wanted me to make them. It's so hard doing things for people because she wanted me to make them last year Christmas stockings, and she wanted me to hook Christmas stockings, which, there are hooked Christmas stockings. There aren't a lot of patterns, and I kept showing her cross-stitch and needlepoint Christmas stockings, and she didn't like any of them. And so she wanted them hooked, and she wanted me to design them, and so I did. And I'm so not. I haven't finished them. I'm so not. I'm not in love with them, and it's just so hard when you're not in love with something. And I don't know. Whatever. Excuse me. It's fine. She'll like it. And you know what? Here's the thing. If she doesn't like it, it's not like it took me months to do. So it worked out. I also, on this, used all of everything that was called for. And there's 2 little birds here, which I find weird. They look like ducks or pigeons or something. I don't know if they're supposed to be like doves. They don't look like doves. You can barely see them. I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, sorry. I have to go back to a whip that I have. So, who was I talking to? No, I think I was watching Priscilla and Chelsea was talking about how, is that who it was? Gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, somebody was talking about how much Ingeborg Stitch Too Far enables her, and it's very true. I've mentioned before that I collect nativities, and one night, late at night, laying in bed with my iPad, which is, I just should not do that, decided I needed a really pretty nativity cross stitch. And so I went to 1, 2, 3 Stitch, and what came up that I really fell in love with was this heirloom nativity sampler from the Victoria sampler. I've showed you this before. It looks like this. And what really drew me to it is it has heart hanger here at the bottom, and I've never done heart hanger, and I'd kind of like to learn how to do it. And there, now are all these videos showing how to do heart hanger, and Ingeborg's been doing it, and I forget who's been doing a Harding or Stitch Along or a Hal. Anyway, I bought this and I got it, and the pattern is, well, the chart itself is only 1, 2, 3 pages, but then there's all this instruction. I'll just show you very quickly for each little section, and all of these specialty stitches and just a lot. And I got it, and usually when I get something I start right away, and I did not. So I was watching A Stitch Too Far, Ingeborg, the other night, and she just started or just purchased another Victorian sampler, and I don't remember which one it is now. These are all Christmas on here, but I think it's a non-Christmas one. And I thought, oh, that makes me want to start Heirloom Nativity Sampler. So I'm trying to think what night this was. This was before I finished both the Tree Farm and the Love one for Caitlin. But all of a sudden I just had this itch to start Heirloom Nativity Sampler. So I got it out, I got everything out, and the threads it all came, I bought it as a kit, and the threads came kind of all, it looked like they were all wadded up in a little teeny Ziploc bag. But when you open the bag and pulled the threads out, they weren't knotted, they were nicely kind of wound in groups. And then that made sense when you went to the instructions and you could see what you were supposed to do with each group of threads. But that took me a little while, and I had to kind of, I just made this up just to kind of separate them out so you can see these are the different groupings. And the cat's over here and she sees that hanging. So I got started on it, and I thought I'd started in the middle. I got started on it, and the first thing I did was this little border here, and I forget what that's called. It's like an interwoven cross, and this is actually done with 2 different threads, and you're not going to be able to see. It's 2 different greens, and that is this right here, this border right here. I did that border 4 different times. I couldn't figure out if it was supposed to be 1/1 or if it was supposed to be, anyway, I had to keep reading the instructions, and then and then I had to look at the chart for the specialty stitches to figure out how to do them, and then I realized I had done them all together and there was supposed to be a thread in between. So 4 different times. I believe this is correct the way it is now, and it looks pretty. I did it bigger, and then I did it smaller, and just back and forth. But once I got it, then I just couldn't. Okay, so I just filmed like 10 minutes of video, and it didn't film. I don't know if I didn't hit the button or if it quit on me or what, but I'm gonna have to kind of watch to make sure that it's actually filming. So I think that's all the cross stitch stuff I have for you. I have a couple of things that are non-cross stitch related. They're still stitchy, but non-cross stitch related. Did I say crossword? I feel like I said crossword. I hope I did it. Anyway, I've shown you this a little bit before. It is Acorn Quilt and Gift Company's Betsy's Closet in Stitches. This can also be done in an applique. And I'm doing this for my friend Gail's first granddaughter, who's turning a year this weekend, and Maddie and I won't be here, so I'm trying to get it done in time for the birthday party on Saturday. I have it all stitched. I have the sashing all stitched together, and I just need to put the whole quilt together. So it has 9 panels that are stitched. So it's kind of like doll clothes is, I think, the idea behind this. So I have each little section stitched together, and I wanted to show you because I think that fabric is really sweet, that it's the sashing fabric here. I really like this particular panel. That's one panel. This is another panel with the little, and we painted my sewing room when I had just started working on this. This was one of the first blocks that I did, and we covered everything up with tarp, but a little bit of paint got here and I didn't notice it. So I think I'm just going to put a little button or a charm or I don't know, something there. I'll have to find something cute to put there. I didn't want to stitch the whole thing over again. I like that little. And then this was the very last dress. This one has like 8 different colors in it, but it turned out cute. And then the third panel or the is this one. That, yeah, that one's cute. That's the middle panel. And then the little umbrella. So I just have to finish the sashing that goes in between the blocks and then sandwich it, quilt it, and bind it. So I should be able to get it done by Friday, hopefully. And then Caitlin asked me to make her a apron for this weekend with a white panel at the bottom so that everyone at the shower could sign it with fabric pens. And so I picked out like 5 different fabrics, and this was the one that she chose, and I put together this really cute apron. And there's the white panel at the bottom that everyone can sign. So yeah, I liked the pattern. This was a McCall's pattern, so it just goes around there, ties in the back. Yeah, that turned out cute. It was a McCall's pattern, and I have some apron patterns, and I just felt like getting a new one. And this called for French seams, which I've never done before, and I am kind of hooked on French seams. It called for French seams. It didn't tell you how to do French seams, so I had to look it up, go online. Of course, you can find everything online. It's so great. But for those of you who don't sew, so this is not a French seam. This is, this is how you typically do a seam in clothes making, with the raw edges and then pressed open. When you make a quilt, you press everything to one side, which gives it, kind of reinforces the seam and makes it a little sturdier. But in clothes, you typically, to reduce bulk, you press it open. So you can see the raw edges on the wrong side of the fabric. With a French seam, you sew all the seams twice, and you sew the raw edges inside so that you don't have any raw edges. Isn't that cool? I thought that was really... Takes just a little bit longer, not that much longer, but so I finished this last week, and then it was hanging in my office, which is right next to my office and sewing room, which is right next to Maddie's room, and she saw it hanging there. I want one, she said. So I made her one. I let her choose. There were 4 other 2-yard cuts of fabric, different fabrics. I let her choose, and she chose this fabric that looks like, let's see, looks like that. Kind of an Asian themed fabric. I thought that was really pretty. And and with what was left of that fabric, I made a project bag for myself. And as I was making the project bag, I kept in mind Vanna's, in her tutorial about doing project bags, she talks about making sure that if your fabric is directional, that you have it right side up on the front, which makes it upside down on the back, which is absolutely fine. But when I was doing Maddie's apron, I wasn't thinking about that, and I made her whole entire apron upside down. Oh well. She honestly didn't notice until I pointed it out to her, so it's fine. And then this is lined with some butterfly fabric. I have so many yards of this butterfly fabric. I think that might be what I use to back the baby quilt. Okay, I think that's everything now, hopefully. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm reading Gone with the Wind right now, which I've read any number of times, and I just love that book. I was reading it until I was falling asleep last night. And it's such a huge book, and it kept, like, anyway. Reading Gone with the Wind. What else am I doing in my life? I don't know. I feel like so overwhelmed. I have so many things I need to be doing, and that which I really want to do. This week I need to finish up the baby quilt. I started I didn't start a new rug, but I pulled out a rug that I had started last year. And I was thinking about showing you that today, but I'll wait for next time. It's quite nice, and I worked on that a little bit yesterday. So I might work on that some this week. Kind of get ready for the trip, and then we'll be in Colorado till Sunday night. It's just a very quick trip. And back next week, and hopefully I'll have some time to to do a video then. Otherwise, I think that's it. I hope y'all are happy, healthy, getting lots of time to stitch, enjoying maybe some cooler temperatures. Hopefully no more rain in Houston, and praying that that Hurricane Irma stays away from the East Coast and Florida. Oof, this scary stuff. Anyway, that's it, guys. Hope you're all well. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.